Kim here with Little Biz Resources, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use AI to make images, and the tool we're going to be using is MidJourney. It's a little tricky to get started, but we're going to get you started on that. Then I'm going to show you how to use it to make specific images based on our research that we did in a prior video. And then we're going to actually make digital assets. Now, some of you may not need all of the information, so there will be timestamps in the description. Use those if you need to jump around. All right, let's get started. When you're getting started with MidJourney, there are actually two tools that you need. One of them is called Discord, which is where you're going to be managing everything from. You're going to be doing your artwork in there. You're going to be doing everything you can inside Discord. MidJourney, on the other hand, is your account, and that's the actual artificial intelligence or AI software. And you'll see that this is MidJourney. So you need to first set up a Discord account if you don't have one. If you do, which this one says Windows because I'm in Windows, but if you have a Mac, you can also download their Mac version. So you download it, it's housed on your computer. If you have a mobile device, you can use their mobile app as well. And I use it on iPad, an Android phone, and then of course my desktop and my laptop, which are both Windows based. So it's very versatile. I can use it all the time. It's really great for that. So now I've already downloaded this, so I'm not going to do it again, obviously. But you download it, go through all the steps, create everything, verify your information, etc. So you just follow that information, get it set up. Then you go into MidJourney, and you're going to come down here, join the beta. And it tells you that it's launched in the Discord app. And so you can see here, it actually opened in here, and you just say join MidJourney. Now, MidJourney is a channel inside Discord. So this is the MidJourney channel. And in here, you're in it, but you can't really use the tool. And the reason why is because you need a subscription. If you read that they have free subscriptions, they no longer have that as of now. And that's because they have too many people using their servers. They don't have the bandwidth for free users. So you can go into MidJourney though, and you see where there's announcements, and then you can just go through to getting started is where I recommend you go. So we can go into the hashtag trial support, which took us into support. So trials are currently disabled. You can see where trials are currently disabled. So instead we're going to go to the plans, which takes us back into MidJourney. Okay, so MidJourney, which of course took us originally to Discord, now we're going back to MidJourney. And now we're getting into subscription plans. And so this one that says use the /subscribe command to generate a personal link to the subscription page, or go to midjourney.com/account. So we're just going to go to midjourney.com/account, and it's connected to Discord. So now we can go ahead and say sign in. Okay, so once you log in, they'll ask you to connect MidJourney and Discord, and that's what we're going to do is we're going to authorize this. This is funny. These are always different. So this one says this will allow the developer of MidJourney bot to, and it has all of these. This is always different. One of them was bake a cake, and it was crossed out, or bake you a cake or something like that. It was pretty funny. So these are entertaining. So I'm going to say authorize. So now we're in the billing section. And here you can see that I'm on the monthly billing, but there's yearly billing as well, where you would pay $8 a month, but for all 12 months all at once. And then every year they renew it, right? It's a really great deal, especially the higher up you go, if you pay yearly, if you're going to use it for that long. This is not, you're not committed when you pay monthly. If you're like, hey, I just want to give it a try, pay for a month and then see what you like, right? When I first got started, I started with the $10 per month plan. Now I'm at the $60 per month. And here's why. Two things. One is that the $10 and $30 a month plans, they are public. This is my public account on my other one. So all of these are visible. So if you have a subscribed plan, you can come in, you can see these. Now I have, I don't know, thousands more than this already. But what's important to note is that people can steal your images a lot easier on the basic and standard plan. So if that is something you're worried about, go for the pro plan. And understand, I make no money off of you when you subscribe to any of these. So I'm just telling you the information. And you can see here where it says stealth image generation. Now I've read their terms for stealth image, and while it doesn't make it public, they said they're still not 100% guaranteed to make it so nobody can see the images and steal them. So, I mean, I'm assuming that's just to cover their, assets, but I would just say it's AI. You can't really do anything to protect that anyway. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So if you're worried about it though, you want stealth, and that's this plan. The second reason why is because of what they call fast generations. Fast generations are when you're creating an image and it's doing it quickly, whereas relaxed is much slower. So the fast generations, obviously, if you have a limited amount of time, are the better option. And for me, I'm doing a lot of images. So 30 hours of fast generations, I actually ended up spending more than that last month and bought extra time, which is something you can do. So if stealth is not an issue, you can go for basic or standard. You could still buy more time later. If you are like, hey, stealth is a concern, go to the pro plan. And of course, you can do monthly or yearly, whichever one you want. So that is the difference between the plans. Now let's dive into actually using MidJourney on Discord. Now I'm in Discord in the MidJourney channel. If you have not been in here, you're not familiar with this, on the left side here, it's your channels. This is the MidJourney channel right there. It should take you to announcements right here. And if not, just make sure you click on announcements. Now we'll talk more about this stuff in a minute. Well, in a few minutes. But over here is MidJourney bot. And I'm going to click on MidJourney bot, and then I'm going to say view profile. And then I'm going to say send a message. Now this obviously comes up with stuff because I've done this already, but you should come up with some sort of direct message box here. And so here we're going to do /info, and you can see here's info, and that's just to make sure that everything's kind of working. And then you can hit enter and it'll give you these are called commands. Okay. The main command we're going to be using is /imagine, but when you do /info, it tells you how your current subscription. Mine just renewed and I actually earned an hour today, which if you're interested in earning time, hop into the Facebook group or leave a comment and I'll tell you how I did it. All right. So for this one, I'm going to go into the settings to show you. So I'm going to go into settings. If you are doing stealth mode, you need to go into the settings to start with. Now inside the settings, you will see that here are a bunch of different versions. Kim, which version should I use? It's up to you. You need to test these. I kid you not, as soon as somebody says, oh, do this version, you'll get this result, I do not get it. And that's because they train they train MidJourney for their preferences. MidJourney learns that and goes for their preferences. So here we've got MJ, which is MidJourney version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5.1 and 5.2. 5.2 was just released a couple of days ago. Today is I think it's the 29th for at least a few more minutes. And it was just a few days ago they released version 5.2, which I think is for more realistic stuff, but I don't know. I go back and forth and try to test them all. Niji version 4 and Niji version 5, these are more for like anime style. So if you're like, hey, I don't know if I want anime style or not. If you're looking for cute or for cartoony, they work really well in the Niji version 5. Version 4, I'm not as big a fan of, but I would recommend playing with all of these. Like your first month should be testing and figuring out how you want to do stuff and still creating images. When you find something you like, run with it, right? Now, stylized, low, medium, high, and very high. If you have very high, which honestly, I'm not sure what stylized means, but I did very high, which I think gives you a good variety in the 4 images that you get. And I put very high, but that uses up more time. Now, public mode is obviously public. Then they've got remix mode, high variation mode, turbo mode, fast mode. Turbo mode is brand new. Literally, they announced it today, like 6 hours ago. And that's going to it's going to give you images 4 times as fast, but you're going to spend 2 times the credits to do it, right? Relax mode is slower. And I do not see stealth in here, but public mode is not stealth. So maybe that's what it is. Stealth generation disabled. So I unclick it and so you want to make sure that public mode is off, and that's how you do stealth. There's some commands you can do as well. I was trying to show you the easy way. So if you say relax mode, you can see it says your jobs now do not consume fast hours, but might take a little longer. But it looks like I'm still in stealth mode. Yeah, so I'm still in stealth mode. So that's something interesting to know, is that if you run out of your fast hours, you can always go into relax mode. So I'm going to keep it in fast mode, obviously. I'm not going to do turbo mode because I want you to see what the fast mode is, which is normal time frame, right? Now these, you can dismiss any of these because they're just ones that you see. And so you can say dismiss, dismiss, dismiss. And of course I have my time here. I can dismiss that and dismiss that. Now, if you do /info and you saw the number of images, I've done like over 10,000 images, but it didn't say that. I'll show you just in case you didn't see that. It says 2,933. They actually changed a few days ago. They changed. So the 27th is when this renewed. On like the 25th, they changed how they document the images. So if you go into the profile, which let me go ahead and show you my profile. So this is my backend. It only says 2,933. But if you were to look through all the images, I have over 10,000 images. And so you can see these are the first ones, and I'm testing all different types of things to see what it comes out as and what I like and dislike. And see, like this one is in the Niji. Niji almost always throws in a person every now and again. Don't know why, just does. And it's almost always very feminine. So you can see that there's a lot of different styles and it's different formats. If you can look on this one, and it doesn't necessarily say, so this one says version 5 and it's upscaled. But you can also see, and I'll show you these in just a minute, but these are what they call grids. And the grids are the sets of 4 that come out. So you can go back and say, okay, this set of 4 came out, this set of 4 came out, oh wait, if this is a different code than this, I want to see what that is, right? So this one's iridescent rose, vector contour, this one's red iridescent rose, vector contour. And anyway, so I was doing a bunch of that, testing it for a reason. And if you guys remember from our information, the research that we did, red rose invitations was one. So we can literally come in here and pick pretty much any red rose that we want. Right, but let's go back into, so now you've seen, this is a little bit, this is the MidJourney app. This is on the website, so you can see your own images. And if you want to download them, I actually want to go upscales. If you want to download them, you can just come in here and you can save the image. Or if you want to download multiple, you click this button and you can click multiple and download them. And so I do that a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's just a zip file, and you can undo the zip file and everything. So now we're going to create an image. So I'm going to say I'm actually in, we said, we were in settings, right? So in the settings, I'm in Niji version 5, and I'm going to do /imagine. That's going to be your main prompt. And so you'll see right here where it says prompt and it's ready to go. Now you tell it what you want. There are no right and wrong on this, right? You have to test and retest and add in words here and tweak it. And then you can go in and rate your stuff, and you can, you know, you can help it learn what you like. Now, for my purposes, I am going to go into, let's go with the red rose, right? So we're going to say single red rose. Now I'm in Niji again. So every version is going to be different. So I'm going to say single red rose, vector, white background. And the reason why I'm saying white background is so I can remove it. And it's not always going to give me a white background, but I'm going to try. Now I am going to do the aspect ratio. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it gives me a vertical or portrait ratio. So I'm going to say 85 space. Nope, I did that backwards anyway. -- AR 85 to 110. That's 8.5 to 11, right? So that's basically same as a regular piece of paper. You times it by 10 to get it, so you don't have to have the decimals, because otherwise it won't work. So that's that. I'm going to just try that. I'm going to see what happens. Now I've done it a few times already, so you kind of saw a little bit of what would happen. But we're going to do I'll tell you what, I've done it on different days and it's come up with different results as well. So these are just things that you have to consider. This is going about how fast it normally goes, especially for the initial one. Like if you use the same prompt again, which I'll show you how to do in just a minute, then your second one and your third one, so they tend to go a little bit faster. Look, this one's probably got a person in it. It may not, but it looks like it kind of does. And it's kind of cool. You know, it totally looks like it does. So does this one. Why? I don't see why Niji decides to throw people in all the time. It's just crazy. I mean, they're lovely pictures. They're just not what I'm looking for. So anyway, so this goes up to obviously 100%. And then once it gets 100%, you can pick if you want to scale up any of these images. So my daughter happens to love anime stuff. So when the images of the people come up, I still upscale them and keep them for her. And I can still put them in like a clip art package later or something, which again, we'll talk about as soon as we get to creating the digital assets. So here we've got these 4 images that are almost done. And when they are done, I'm going to say, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can click on them. I can see a little bit. On mobile, you can zoom in and it's a lot easier to see. I'm going to go ahead and just upscale all of these. And there is a feature on here once they're upscaled where you can favorite them, but that doesn't seem to teach MidJourney anything, right? Favoriting doesn't seem to do the job. It tends to be more rating it that does. So you can say, you can make variations of this, or you can zoom in, zoom out. You can do custom zoom. You can try to make it square. In fact, let's go ahead and do this one and make it square. And so you still have this original image, but now we're going to make it square in case you need another one. So let's say you're going to be putting it in, I don't know, Instagram or something. You might want to have a square image instead because those tend to work better when they are square. So while that's thinking, let me scroll up here. Oh, it actually, so it made 4 of them in squarish type images. They look exactly the same to me. But anyway, so we've got that one in square now. But let's say I want to make variations of this one. Now, you can do just the variations like they are, and there's settings for this. I have high variation, which means that it's supposed to be set high variations. You can actually set differences using different codes. So if that's something you want to do, then go ahead and look at the documents. So this, you're going to learn a lot from the documents, but I'm just showing you some of this is kind of a crash course for this. So we're going to make a variation for that image, and I'm going to show you if I want to do the same prompt but get different images, I'm going to hit this one. Now, I can change it because I have the settings so that it asks me every time. Sometimes if you don't want to have it ask you, you can just set the settings so that it just redoes it. But I like it to ask me because I'd like to change this. So maybe I don't want to do this one. I'm going to say iridescent rose vector white background and see what it does. So I'm going to submit that one and then let it start thinking while I show you the variations. So these are the variations. And you can see there's not a whole lot of variation, a little bit in the way that maybe in the leaves, like the texture in the leaves or anything. So there's not a ton of variation in this. So there's not a really high variation. It's a flower. So there's not going to be, like this one has an extra bud here. I'll tell you, some unicorns have gotten pretty creative and crazy. I've had turtles with 2 heads. So things can get a little out of hand and you just kind of have to retrain it almost. Again, look, another person. So again, this is in Niji style. So you're going to get a completely different one than in something else. Now the red roses, they don't seem to vary much, which is why I wanted to show you the iridescent rose, because the iridescent rose in Niji is very different than it is in MidJourney 5.1, right? So I'm going to show you these, and then I'm going to show you the difference in like MidJourney 5.1, right? So I love these, by the way. These are amazing. And even the image with the person in, again, my daughter loves those. We can still use that as an image pack later. So I'm going to take all 4 of those, and then I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to change it. It's messing around with me. Go into settings, and I'm going to change it to MidJourney version 5.1 because that's one I was using before, just until a couple days ago. Now I'm in that version now, so I'm going to say /imagine, and we're going to do the same prompt here. We're going to say iridescent rose vector white background, and I'm going to do aspect ratio 85:110, which if you don't do an aspect ratio, just makes it square. And it doesn't matter if you're like, hey, I want it to be a lot bigger. It doesn't matter. It only does the ratio. We're gonna upscale after this when we start to make our products. So this is in version, I don't have to tell the version because it already knows it, right? So it's already said version 5.1 down here. This S750 is for stylized 750. That's the very high stylized, the highest one I have. So you don't have to set any of that. You just do this first part right here. And then if you want something different than square, you need to tell it the aspect ratio. So let's look. I'm going to show you these while we're looking at it. These are really pretty, right? Has a nice sparkly view. If this were going on dark paper, this would be nice. So the problem is that for printing, at least for printing, for like a home printer, it doesn't print white, right? I mean, at least my laser printer doesn't. I only have 4 colors in there. None of them are white. None of them can generate white. So this would be really hard to print. So that's why I was going to go for a red rose. But look, if we look at the iridescent rose in 5.1, these are very different, right? These are very different, and they give me a different color. So I like that. And then even if I said, hey, you know what? I want the exact same. I like those. I want to see what else there is. I'm going to do another one, and I'm just going to keep it exactly the same, the exact same prompt. And I'm going to hit submit, because what's going to happen is it's done these 4 for me. It's done these 4, and it's going to give me 4 other ones that it just decides, right? You're like, well, Kim, this doesn't seem like it's, you know, super unique. It's not, which is exactly why, you know, you have to imagine it. And then you tell MidJourney the instructions, and then MidJourney's kind of guessing based on your description. I am using really basic details here, right? Really basic details. I seem to get better luck with the really basic details and letting MidJourney come up with it than I do when I try to give it too much information. It's like it's trying to figure it out and make me happy, and it's just not going to work, because I'm happier with the stuff that it comes up with than I come up with. So I might tell it, you know, I want a red rose that is with gold tips, and then it comes back and I'm like, that's not really what I was looking for. Right? And it's maybe I'm using the wrong words. And that's part of the challenge with this. Now, there are people out there using ChatGPT or other AI to come up with terminology to tell MidJourney to help come up with variations. But really, I mean, I'm doing a second one right here, and they're not too much different, but they're different enough, right? So if we look at these 4 versus the 4 it just generated, these 4, they're similar but different. Right. So, and they're not the variations, because variations are too close. They're basically the same one, just in a different type of style. I don't know what's up with the dripping. I think that might have been me accidentally training it, because I did an entire series of dripping roses, lightning roses and stuff like that. They're actually really cool. Now, here's the other thing you can do. So we've done these. You guys kind of get the gist of that. You can repeat this. You can upscale. You can make variations from here. You can make variations from here, and then you can zoom in, zoom out, custom zoom, make square. And then you can, of course, view these on the website. You can say visit site, and this will show up in your job here. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to acquire the image, to make variations of the image. Now, here's another thing. We've done just single images. We can also tile images, right? So we're going to say /imagine. And this, I'm telling you guys, this is the weirdest thing. I'm going to tell it the same stuff, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come out looking very different. So I'm going to tell it iridescent rose. If I can spell. Iridescent rose. In fact, here, what we'll do, I'll show you the easier way to do this, is to come up to the prompt. And I'm like, you know what? Now I want to tile it. I want to make it a repeatable pattern, or a tileable pattern, right? So I did the AR, the S750 and everything that's there. So I'm going to say -- tile. I'm going to say submit. And then I'm going to have to wait, but it's totally worth the wait. Typically, these come out really good if they're floral, basic designs. They do not do good with people or animals. And some objects are kind of funky as well. So repeats kind of questionable, other than in floral and in just general designs. And people in general are difficult. Like you saw in the Niji version here, where it's only showing us basically headshots, right? This is a headshot. There's no fingers included in this, which, by the way, I'm sure those cross-like earrings are also because of how I trained it. But there's no fingers, because, oh my goodness, I cannot tell you, if fingers are involved, there's no guarantees that you're going to have 5 or only have 5. I've had ones, usually I get 6 or more fingers on a hand. And I'm like, and they're not always the right direction either. And same thing with unicorns, unit being 1. So I should have 1 horn. And yet somehow my unicorns end up with 2 and 3 sometimes. Sometimes, not always. But look at the colors on the color difference. Same exact, I'm in version 5.1. This is the same exact prompt, other than I told it to tile here. None of these are colored the same way as these. So it's interesting, but now I can go ahead and upscale each one of these. And that's basically just breaking them apart into single ones. And I have 4 of them that are now repeatable and tileable, which again, we will use these in designs. So for now, we're just going to make some basic designs using Canva. But if you use Adobe or you use GIMP or something like that, you know, some sort of advanced photo tool, you can use a repeatable pattern and fill it in things. And we'll use that later on, but I just wanted to show you how to do it. So that is an option. If you know how to use repeating patterns, you can make them in here. Now we'll make other ones later, but I just want to show you that. Okay, so now you've got the idea, right? The general idea. You can do a lot of these. So you can do, why is it? Imagine. I like to do beagle puppies. So we're going to say beagle puppies playing in a field with storm clouds. No, we'll do a sun. With a sunny sky and a rainbow. We'll just see what happens, you know, and this is, I'm not going to tell it, it's just going to be a square image. Okay, now if I wanted to make it maybe 8.5 by 11, I do that aspect ratio, but let's just tell it this is what I want. I'm not going to tell it vector. I'm not going to tell it anything else. I'm just going to tell it I want that image, and let's see what it does. So again, there is so much variation in this. I don't remember how many characters there are, but I have my friend who taught me this. He did like entire paragraphs to help fine tune it. And he was able to get his down. Everybody does a little bit differently. Everybody finds their own little way of doing this. The big thing is testing it and tweaking it and testing and tweaking it. And I'll show you, as soon as we're done with this, I'll show you how you can rank them. In fact, while this is going, I'll show you how to rank it. Let's go to, we're going to go into the midjourney.com/app. That's how you get to your account, basically. So once you're logged in, and then right here, you've got rate jobs, right? So there's the ones I just did, right? That loaded. I'm going to say rate jobs, and it's kind of loading right now, but it has this week, this year, etc. Now, this is actually, I said earlier comment, but if you make it this far, I'll reward you. This is how I earned a free fast hour, was coming in here and rating stuff. So I can come in here and I can say, okay, I mean, it's okay. You know, I mean, you've got, this is disgusting, or it says hate, dislike, like, love. It's okay. I like it. It's fine. Love it. Love it. That one, I'm not so liking the stuff on the back. So it's nice enough. I like it. I don't know on this one. So I'm going to go with like. Not really sure about the colors. I love that one. I don't like that one. I normally do like the anime style characters, but I didn't like that one. So I love this one. Love this one. Love this one. I wish there was a love over here. It's okay. I like it just fine. This one I actually do love a lot. I like that one a lot. So I'm going to give them reward on that one. And I love that one, and I love this one, and I love this one. Most of the stuff, once I find a prompt I like, I usually love a lot of stuff. I actually like that one a lot. That one's okay. That one's kind of just okay too. Now you can see these are very realistic, and that's because most of my stuff isn't realistic, and so I've already trained it that way. I actually do love that one. And I love that one. Didn't I say this one? Love. So now it says couldn't find any unrated jobs. That's just because I did the one day. So I'm going to return to ranking. And so that one says I did 20 out of 24. This one says I did 44 out of 120 for whatever reason. But I could go back to all of these days where I've done some. Okay, I hopped over back into Discord and you can see it did the 4 beagle puppies. And if I pop into these, you can tell that the first one looks okay. The second one, I don't think this head goes to a body. Third one looks okay. Fourth one looks okay. So in this case, I don't want to upscale the second one. So I'm just going to do U1, which is right here. Then U3 and 4. So upscale 1, 3, and 4, right? 1, 3, and 4. So there, that one looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. And this one looks pretty good. So those are some beagle ones that I can use in a calendar or something, right? On that note, let's go ahead and hop into Canva and make some actual assets to sell. Here I am in Canva, that's canva.com, and I have a pro account. You do not necessarily have to have a pro account for everything, but there are going to be some assets and some strategies that you will need it for if you choose to use it for that. So something just to keep in mind. Now we're going to start off with, let's do a calendar first since we talked about that. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm going to show it to you at least. So they have calendar templates in here. And you can even see some on here. So suggested templates, see all. Templates that are marked with this pro, with this little crown, mean that only pro subscribers can use that template. So if you're like, hey, I really like this template, but it's a pro, you either have to purchase it or it's only for pro users. It just depends. Like this one is, we get it for free. So yeah, you have to pay for it, I believe. So I'm going to go through here. I'm not seeing anything I particularly like. You could also just make your own. Okay, so here's one. It is a pro one. I'm going to show it to you, but you'll see it scrolls through. So I'm going to click into it just to kind of give you an idea. I'm going to say customize this template. Now this is built to be like a page. Somebody could print a page of this, right? It does go obviously to the end of the page, but if they wanted to print it to page, it would just cut off the part of the printer doesn't print on for them. But in this case, they have a bunch of different things on here. I don't want any of these. I just want the actual... All right, so again, you can make however you want. Now, all they've done is put a lovely background, and then they put the font, and they put the calendar part. The calendar part is the trickiest part, right? And I think they have that in here. So if you wanted to, you can make it from scratch. But I just want to show you, like, you can literally, I have some owls in here. Let's bring an owl in. Say, okay, there's calendar 2024. And then this is all for 2024. And of course, you could change this to be whatever you want. So I've got the first owl there. I've got the second owl here. Now, I'm going to tell you, these images here have already been upscaled. So what I would do, let's go ahead and go back to our, let's start with, we were going to do a rose one, right? So let's just do a creative design calendar. And we're going to make it a wall calendar. And we've got one page on here. Okay, and they've got some stuff over here. And I'm going to look for, so this is, again, this is a pro. This is not a pro. So this would be front, back, front, back, front, back. That would work for us. So this has, you know, front page. This is the cover page. Then this would be the top where you have a top and a bottom, right? So we'll show you here. So we'll do, for this one, we'll do here. And this one we'll do here, just to show you. So this would be the top and the bottom as it was hanging, as an example. So this is a really good example of that. And let's say we wanted to just leave January. Maybe we want to change the background here to maybe a pink color. That's an ugly pink color. Let's do a lighter pink color. Or let's even do more like this. So you can find your, if you have like a, you can put in the code here if you know it. The hex code there if you know it. I'm not really a huge fan of this. Maybe we'll do more of a purple then. You could change the font colors here too if you wanted to, like do that as white instead. So we can do white if we wanted to leave that as purple. Now, if they're gonna have to print this though, then I would rather have less color. In fact, I might not even do, I might just make this purple and then make the background white. Just delete that background. And then I'm gonna take all of these and just make them that purple color, right? So these are all not purple for whatever reason. I wonder why it didn't do that. Well, anyway, so you can make them all purple. You can make them all whatever color you want, right? So let's just say that's all purple for the sake of argument to keep the time going here. And I'm going to make this top one instead. I'm not going to make a picture here. I am going to go back into MidJourney. I'm going to say /imagine. I remember we did that red rose, right? So I'm not a big fan of the red rose. In fact, maybe what I'll do instead is do settings. Let's try a different one. Let's go into, I don't think we've done version 5.2. Actually, let's do need you version 4 and see what that does. So we'll do slash imagine. We'll do single red rose for a wedding invitation. Since we said red rose invitation, I'm going to try to match the same type of rose for a calendar. But I like to find something. So single red rose for a wedding invitation. I'm going to make it vector, white background, and I'm just going to leave it square because square will fit fine in that. So we're going to make the image, and then we're going to, while that's doing, I'm going to show you, this is a free tool. It's called Upscale, UPSCAYL, right? So it's free. And what we're going to do is you have two options here. This is a really neat tool. You can do just select an image, or you can do batch scale where it's an entire folder. I have done thousands of images in a day on this where I've upscaled it. It's really quick, easy to use, and this is not helpful. Okay, so I guess we will do subplot reversing goes. So I don't think, when you get an error like this, you want to go back into MidJourney and check the announcements. I don't see anything here, but then the other thing you can check is, which one is it? I have this go to mine, but it goes to status. So status, if there is something going on, they would tell you right here, it should say, there's maintenance or whatever going on. Nothing's been going on. This is hours after this. So I'm guessing it's either an issue they don't know about yet, or there's just something with the NG4, because NG4 is one of their older ones. There's probably not a lot of people using it. So let's go back into I'm going to go back into direct messages and go into the bot. And I'm going to change the settings again since it says it can't do it. Dang it, I don't know why it does that. Settings, enter. Then we're going to go into, let's go into Niji, why is this stylized medium? This should be very high. That's interesting. Why'd that change? So something must have got reset. They did warn something was reset, but that was before I started recording this. Anyway, so we're in fast mode. Everything else looks okay. We're still in stealth. So let's go into version 5 then. We already did 5.1. We'll do slash imagine, and we're going to do the same prompt. Single red rose for a wedding invitation, vector, white background. See, I'm not even giving it aspect ratios. You'd think they wouldn't have problems. Of course, I'm recording. So if I were live, the whole thing would crash. The whole server would crash. Because that's like the laws of recording. All right, so this one's going to do it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and then we're going to go over to our midjourney.com/app so I can download them, but I want to wait for them to come up. I actually really like these so far. I hope they come out as good as they're looking, because I might change it from single red rose to red roses, because this looks pretty good. And here's the thing is that the more you get into this, if you're like, hey, I don't have a creative bone in my body, that's okay, because you can just let MidJourney come up with it, right? You can literally just come in and say something creative and see what it says. And if you're like, hey, I really have no idea, go back into MidJourney, come into any of these rooms, right? Newcomer rooms 3. People are typing in, look at this. Holy cow, this is a lot of details here. And they're putting in specific things that they want. Look at 32,000, shutter speed, 8,000 second, ISO sensitive. I mean, all of that's in there, right? Oh, this one's nice. I want that necklace. Now, this one is an actual image it looks like they're using. Oh, and that's something else that you can do. Let's say that you find something. You're on the interweb, the internet, and you're like, hey, you know what? Or maybe you're on Pinterest. Let's say you're on Pinterest and you're going through and you're looking at your feed, and we're going to, where's my feed? Home feed. All right, you're going through your feed and you're like, man, I really like this picture, right? you're like, I really like this picture. I want to do something like this. You could come in and then you could go back into MidJourney, wherever I put it, right here. And you could go back into the bot. Gotta find the bot. So you could come into the bot. So those are pretty good roses. They're not as realistic as I would like, but I think they still turned out pretty good. But you can come back in here and you can go /describe space, and then it says drag or drop or click to upload file. You save it. It wasn't making me do that before. Then I'm going to change this. So save image as, and okay, we saved that image off of Pinterest, and then now I can come back into Discord and I can do the image that I did. So I can say, I'm going to describe that. I'm going to say enter. And now what it's going to do is it's going to tell me ways to describe that image that I can use. So a silhouette ship illustration in pen and ink in the style of academic realism, historical reproductions. So they have an AR 41 to 61. I don't care. I'm just going to copy that. And now I'm going to say /imagine. Well, actually I can do them all. Look, imagine all. Imagine all. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. And we're going to see what it says. So they're coming up with a prompt for each one. And it's going to create images based on each of those prompts that it came up with from that image. So it's not going to recreate that image, but it's going to recreate something very similar to it. So if you were like, hey, I happen to know that there's a whole bunch of people who love this specific type of artist, you can say a specific artist, right? There are so many different ways that you can use MidJourney, and that's something that, you know, I recommend you get in here and you start looking at what other people are doing, because it gives you so many options and opportunities. So if you don't have a creative bone in your body, you can just use what exists and let it tell you what to tell it, right? Those are some really easy ways to do that. So let's go back in here. We're going to upscale our 4 images here. And it's going to take a minute. In fact, we're going to need 12. So let's do red roses, because we're going to have some that have single ones and we'll have some that have double ones. I'll come back and deal with those later, which those are pretty cool. I like that one. Victorian era clothing. There's no clothing in this. This one says in the style of academic realism. Those are pretty cool though. In the style of stipple historical references. Now you can use artists too. So if you're like, hey, I like a specific type of artist, you can say whatever you want in the style of something, right? And that makes a big difference. So there is, gosh, what are some famous artists? So come up with some famous artists, put them in there. Hop into the Facebook group, the Little Biz Resources Facebook group. The link will be in the description. Share what you've made. You know, let us know. Share, say, hey, this is something. Or if you have questions, hop in there and ask questions. There are lots of groups that are on AI. So if that's all you're really focused on, you don't have to join ours to do it. However, it would be nice. Now, this one only did, because I said single red roses. I don't want to do single now. I want to do red roses. So I don't really like that one at all. So when I go in and rate these later, I'm not going to rate that one very well. But we'll use these for our current assets. Oops, did I get them all? Yeah, and sometimes these don't highlight, just so you know. It just doesn't work that way. And I like to do it on desktop versus mobile, because mobile keeps pushing me down while I'm trying to do something. So I'm trying to upscale all 4 of these, and it'll push me down to the bottom. But if I'm doing like a bunch at one time, which I do, then I tend to be able to leave it here, and then it just tells me new messages here. So it's creating this one, which will pop up at the bottom. But there's 1, 2, 3, and then the one I don't really like so much. But you know what? I could still make it, right? It's not going to take us very long. Once we get our system down, it's not going to take very long. I'm showing you guys an overview of this and giving you some ideas. But really, once you figure out what you want to do, this is just a matter of sitting down and doing it. And a lot of it we can even automate later, right? So we'll talk about automation another day, but there's a couple things that I use to help create files So they're automatic. So I do really like these. So I like these. So I'm going to go ahead and go like this and say 1, 2. I don't know why 2 always takes a long time. 3. You can have 3 at one time, and then there's supposed to be like up to so many that can be in the queue. So I tend to do 10. And again, this is if you really like it, right? I really like this one. I don't know what I'm at now. 5 maybe. 6. 7. 8. Now, Discord isn't working on your computer. It's working on its servers. So you don't have to worry about not being able to multitask or something. I think that's close to 10. So we'll do whatever that is. I'm going to let that work. And then we're going to hop over into upscale. No, we're going to hop over to here. And we're going to do MidJourney. And just ignore those random sounds. That is Discord telling me that it has new stuff for me. And we already have a bunch of these that we can download. So I'm going to actually download them all using this button. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I already have 12. And once I get all the rest of them, I'll probably have each one of these on, you know, like the group ones on its own calendar. So I'm going to say open downloader, and I'm going to download all. It's not going to take very long because just putting this in downloads for now. It's not going to take very long because it's just zipping it, and then there's only 4 of them. But I do need to extract them all. So I'm going to extract them all so they're available for me. So now I have a folder in my downloads folder, which you can't see because it's on the other screen, that I'm going to use for upscale. So I'm going to use upscale to, well, actually, let's batch them. I mean, images are really easy. Let's just do batch. So I'm going to select the folder. This is the one I want. And I'm going to say select folder. It says defaults to folders path. So it's going to be the same default. So I'm just going to say upscale and let it be in that one. And that's in my download section. So now, and I'll pull this over in just a second so you can see this. You can see where it says this was the one that it downloaded. And then this is one that says upscaled after it. So those are larger ones, and it uses AI to kind of fill in the gaps. And that's just to give you a higher quality image. And in this case, my settings are set to 4 times. You can do up to 16 times larger, but it's not super necessary. So now I can come into uploads, and I'm going to go into my upscaled ones, and I'm going to take all 12 of those. Sorry, I'm on the other screen. And I'm just going to drag them over, upload them into Canva, and let them all upload. It'll take them a second. They're larger files now. Now, these are PNGs. They're downloaded from Discord as PNG, at least mine are. I don't know if that's a setting or what, but that's what I do. So I have 1, 2, 3. I've got 12 of them in here. They're all going to finish loading. So now I've got my calendar down here, right? My January calendar here. And then I've got my page right here. So now I can do whatever I want to, you know, maybe I want to just leave this and I want to position it and center it. And that's all I want to do. Maybe that's all I want for January. Now, it's kind of weird with the background. So if you have Pro, you can come in, you can say edit photo, and you can do background remover, which is the reason why I like the white background. Now, it doesn't always work very well. In fact, it's funny because sometimes I use a different program completely to remove the background. But if it looks good enough, I'll just leave it the way it is. Right, so that looks like it looks okay there. And now I don't have to worry about the image color. The other thing you can do, let's say you didn't want to do it that way, we could, and I'll show it again, the next one, is that you could, see now you can see it's all white. You could match the color of the paper to the background of the image, right? So that way it's all one color. So now we've got January, and if we wanted to just leave it like that, we can. If we want to add in some more, you know, again, I want to remove the background on this. And that's funny. If you notice here, it adds in this, what looks like a watermark. It's making that up. It's the weirdest thing. It's making it up. Now that I'm looking at that one, I'm not as fond of it as I thought I would be because it has this weird shadow stuff. But it's not horrible. I mean, it's not horrible. This one's fine. The other one had some other weird stuff on it. But you just go through, and some of these aren't going to work. You just go make more. right? That's just the way this is if you're trying to do it without, your own marks into it. So now we've got January, we can go in and do the same thing. So let's assume we have all 12 pages and plus the top in here. We can do, print your designs on wall calendars. You can actually make a wall calendar. $24.50 is ridiculous though. Sorry, Canva. Anyway, they're doing a bunch of print on demand stuff. It's super expensive. I don't know how people are doing it, but we're going to go ahead and say download. And now you can download it as a PNG or even a PDF for a final product, right? So this is best for printing. That's what I would say is PDF print. Now you have a legitimate calendar. You have, this is going to be, we're going to say, well, let's do all pages. Let's just, oh man, I lost my project. By the way, you probably want to name it here so that you can find it in your projects later. So let's close that. And then we're going to go back into this one. This is the one we were doing, right? So we're going to add a page and we're going to do, we might as well just copy this page and move it down. So now we'll replace this one, but what we're going to do is we're going to basically make a copy of it for every month so that it's the same one. And then this one's going to be February. And then this one's going to be March. And we're going to duplicate this one. And then we'll just, I guess we'll just make another page here. And we'll make, and see, technically we don't even have to make the page. We can just add the pictures if we're just going to keep it white. So this one's going to be March, April, add a page, delete the background. This one will be May. This one will be June, July, August, okay, this one will be September, October, November, and December. So of course we could go back and add in our front page as well if you want to. So now we actually have a front page here. So we might have, this one's obviously 2022, but this just shows you the point even though we're in 2023. So this gives us a starting point for all of this. I don't want any of it. And I'm going to go back to my uploads. And I actually, since I only have 12, I might do like a combo of these, right? Let's remove that background again. And again, if you don't want to remove the background, you don't have to. But we can even just take that off the screen. Maybe make it bigger. Just leave it like this. In fact, I kind of like that. And then, so I copied and pasted it, and I'm going to flip it and do something like that. And that is actually a very good front, I think. Maybe if you want to add in a little bit more, you can, but this works out pretty good. It looks pretty good. So that's your front page. Then you could, again, do something similar on here if you wanted to change this so that it was unique for this one. These are already opposites, so they're fine. And then maybe I want to make it so that even though January is here, maybe I want to move it up into here and make it bigger. Maybe I want to change the font. Maybe I don't want this font. Maybe I want a different one. This is again, same thing. This is a pro font. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. But let's say I wanted to make it in the center. It is centered. Okay. Let's see where middle is. And then we can adjust these accordingly. So now we have January, and maybe I do want to make it. I don't want it to be plain white. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. I'm going to leave it plain white because if it ends up printing, I want to be able to do that. But I could do this for every single month, right? I still don't want it to have the colors on here so that when they're printable, it doesn't show up as that. So and here's the great thing. Once you make this template, once you're like, hey, I like this calendar, you can use the exact same thing, right? The exact same calendar over and over and over and over again, and just swap out the images. That's all you have to do. So even though we're taking quite a bit of time here to set up the first one, and for the wrong year, sorry, I didn't notice that. We could easily make this, where we come in and we're like, okay, well, now we're going to do, maybe, I'm not going to change this. So maybe I'm just going to leave this as here and put February down. Or maybe I'll put February up and put this one there. Maybe I leave February down on the bottom and just leave, maybe I leave February down here on this one. And just leave it as the main picture in here. And again, you don't have to remove the background, though in this case I do recommend it since it's got that fake watermark. I mean, nobody's going to come after you for it because it's a fake watermark. Well, we'll go ahead and remove that background anyway and see what happens. And if I decide I don't like that one, then I can do something else. If you want to change it to be, a different type of overlay on it, that's weird. There's another watermark on this. Thank you, MidJourney. Well done. So silly. So obviously we're not going to be able to use that one. So I'm actually going to remove it. Because it's just not usable. This one has it too. Why are they doing that? And a lot of times that's what happens is you get in here and you start doing these and you're like, what is going on? And that's because you find that out. That we'll do that. Background remover. And I have no idea why the MidJourney tool does that. It's just one of those things that it does. See, there it is again. This is weird. Let's go to my owls and see if that one has it. I don't see anything on it. Yeah, there's nothing on the owls. So I wonder why it's on the roses. I don't see it on that one. And MidJourney is just like, it's mimicking it off of other, it's looking at other images and saying, okay, well, that's what I need to do because it's on this image. So it just depends on how they fed the data into the program. And obviously it somehow pulled a bunch of ones that had watermarks. Let's go back up and make sure these don't, even if they do, they'd be probably in the middle and it got removed. So those look okay. So we're into March now. Is that the one we just used? That's the one we just used. Down here, buddy. So again, I prefer, since I have it, to remove the background. I want it to be as, little printing as possible. And some people have printers where if it shows any amount of color, it'll try to print it here. And so it'll make it look lower quality. So I like to remove the background whenever possible if I'm going to leave it as white. So again, this makes it so that it only has to print the actual image there. So we've got March there. Do we say this one does have a watermark? So let's remove it. I don't like this one, but we're just doing this for the purpose of example. So I'm going to make that one much bigger. Remove the background. And it might end up removing this, but we'll see, which I don't care. I'd like that to be removed. No, it left it. Not a big deal. So, that's a nice, pretty, I know it's, again, on the corner, but that's one of the designs. So We've got April. Can't remember if this had a watermark too or not. I'm going to remove, and I am literally arbitrarily putting these on here, right? I like them when they come off the screen like this because it just gives it that more artsy kind of feel to it. But if you like it more like, you know, where it's on there, then you do that. And then we're into June. So which one did we just do? This one. This one's kind of painty. And you can even like adjust these. Stop it. Why are you not letting me rotate you now? I'll move it to here. Like if you wanted to put it at an angle or something. Let's say you really wanted to angle it. And then you wanted to make it like really big. Like I did on that other one, huh? Maybe even like this. It's very artsy. Let's remove, oops, let's remove that. And I could flip it. I could do background remover. And again, some of these may end up getting removed. They might stay. You just never know. It's using some sort of artificial intelligence to determine what to remove in the background. So it looks like a lot of it stayed. So it looks good to me. Then we're going to go into, that one has a watermark, so we're going to remove it. This one has a watermark, so we're going to remove it. That one we used. This one we have not used, and I don't see any watermarks. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the background. Again, not obligatory to do this, and I'm doing it because it's in Pro, and it is a tool that's built, one step built in. I can do it. So I'm actually going to just fill these out the rest of the way with the same images. So we did this one before. So I'm actually going to turn this time and do see, and this is where removing the background comes in handy, because you can then overlay them a little bit easier. You get a little bit more room. And it took some of the quality out of it, but maybe I, offset those a little bit more or something. It's just kind of, maybe I make them smaller. I mean, it just depends. You can play with this and do what you need to do. I don't really like that angle as much as I thought I would. Now I'm just being picky. Sorry. It's just one of those things. And then I can flip vertical. No, horizontal. Vertical. I don't know. Still not quite where I want it to be. Well, that's good for now. And then I just want to show you guys the final, the final product of having a full calendar. I don't know if it's still thinking or what the deal is. And you could actually come in here and play with the settings on this. Like, this is the background removed, but if you need to like remove some more or whatever, you just come in, hit that settings. So the background is removed on this. So I'm going to it's going, I don't know why, it's just all of a sudden having major issues. Okay, that's September. And then we did this one earlier. I'm going to do a little bit different. The background. Again, Pro feature. I guess the background's removed now. Yep, it was. Okay, October. Now we're into November. You can see that I'm just literally playing around with this. And you can take as much time or as little time as you want to. I mean, literally, you can get to the point where if you wanted to just have it create a scene, in fact, I'll show you that in just a second, you could do that. But we're on the last one, right? Yeah, last one. So this one, we'll do... Come on. Okay, so now we've got our calendar, and let's pretend that it was an actual year that somebody would purchase. We need to get the product into files that can go onto Etsy. Now, Etsy allows, if we choose Etsy, if we choose other platforms, it could be different, but let's go with Etsy because we know those numbers. They allow 5 files up to 20 megabytes each. I do not think a calendar is going to fit there. So I recommend that you go ahead and download it as a PDF. And I would say it just depends. If you have the Pro version, you can say for print and use CMYK, because RGB is best for digital use. So if you don't have Pro, then I would just go for standard. And then it says you can flatten to ensure it prints properly. And then we're not going to include notes. And let's see, we can just do all 25 and see what happens, how big the file is. I did it once before and then deleted it all because it's 155 megabytes as a full print CMYK. So it's super high quality. Now you could do that. If you have Pro, you could do that. You can take the file and publish it. In fact, I think you can publish it here on Canva if you have Pro. So as soon as this is done, print your design more. I think you can embed, send to phone, prototype, website, share link to watch, save to folder, view only link. There's got to be a way you can keep the template, and you could literally just share that. So save as a download section. Let's see what it looks like. So 41.6 megabytes, you would still need to break that up. So then you'd have to go into Adobe or whatever and break it up. So you don't have to do it this way. You could just say, okay, I want to download 5 pages and then put that in a zip file. 5 pages, put it in a zip file. 5 pages, put it in a zip file, right? You could do that. And so then you'd have 5 files. The problem is you're going to have 5 files. So if you want to keep it as one, you can put it in Google Drive, you can put it in Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, and then share the link with them. And this is a bigger one, so this is why this happens. Now there are other we're already really far into this. There are other digital products. So I showed you kind of how to do this. We can do the same thing with an invitation. And I want to go back to regular Canva, do it here. I don't know why I cannot spell today or lately at all whenever I record. So we're going to do, where's the invitations? 5x7, 7x5, whatever it is. Why? Yesterday it was no problem. Invitation. This is weird. So the other thing you could do is you could just create a blank invitation and you can do it by size. But if you wanted to see a template, you could start with a template. But I happen to have a 7x5. So you can either do it this way or you could do a 5x7, right? So let's just change this and change it to 5x7. I know they have one somewhere, but we'll just say custom size. And then we'll say inches, and we'll say the width is 5 and height is 7. So we'll do that, and then we've got our uploads, and let's just say we're going to do very similar at the photo, remove the background, and then we're going to do very similar to one of the pages that we did, right? So maybe we leave it like this, and then let's look at the design here. So they've got some things here for templates to kind of give you like just ideas, but I prefer Google. I'm on Google. I don't know why I just went to voice. So we're going to do Rose wedding invitations. And then we can just go into like, say this one. And we can say, okay, you can have whatever wording is. And then just maybe we'll do like a save the date so that we have one. And we can do an add a heading. And we'll say save the date. Let's change that to something a little fancier. It's nice and pretty and matches our calendar, at least 1 month of that. And then we might have a personal, personalize this a little bit more. I don't really like that now that I say that. That's horrible. So come through, find one you like. That one's at least easier to read. And then if you want like you want to see what the save the date wedding announcement text. Use ChatGPT for this. So this one has save the date and it says for the wedding ceremony of, and then you just kind of put in John Doe and Jane Doe or something like that, right? Or this one says Alice and Marcus and it has the date. And so all of that's going to be personalized. Now you can offer that as a personalization service and you do it and you can charge more money and then send them a digital file. That's something that you can do. The alternative is that you can create a Canva file. Now this might be the best option for the calendar as well. And what that is you can click share. And then right here it says it'll usually say only you can access, but you can change this anyone with the link. And you can change it to can view, can comment, can edit. Right? So if they can view, then they can't make changes. But if they can edit, which is what you're selling people, you're selling the template then, right? So you might put John and Jane and then give instructions on like add a page and give instructions or something, right? But let's copy that link and then I'm going to go into new incognito window. I'm going to paste that link, stupid long. And now they don't have to sign in or anything. And then it says save the date by Kimberly Christian. That's mine. And you can come in here and it says, they obviously have to agree to the terms of service and anything, but they don't have to log in. They can come in here and they can change this. So they can go into the text and they can come in here and they can change the text to something to, they can't go to the pro because if they don't have a pro, but they could go to any of the other ones if they want to, or they can just swap it out. So let's just say this is what they wanted and they can just go, let's say they're changing John or saving date to save the day. They want to say that instead. So they can make the changes that they want to, but you've created the template for them and all they have to do is put in their names and their information. So it's very simple. It's, you're obviously providing the image because they get the image with it. So if you're like, oh, hey, they can make their own. Yeah, they can. But they're buying yours because they want your design, your image. So that's where you can make these all day long. You can just share it if you're using Canva, you can just share the link. But there is a catch, and the catch is that if you share the link to the template to anybody, that you can see that they can adjust this. So we had our original one, right? It's been changed because that's who changed it. Pill and Donk. That was who we saved it with. This one, which was in our anonymous. So that's been changed. So every single person that gets access to it has the ability to change it on somebody else. So what I recommend is if you choose to do it this way, if you choose to share it and let them adjust it themselves, is that you give them instructions that when they get the file, right? Let's go ahead and hop over to another one. I've gotten to Canva on this account and they have the link now so they can paste in the link, and I'd encourage them to create a free Canva account. And now they can have it in here and they can say make a copy, and now it's theirs. So this one we want to change it to public or something, or you know, something, and then you may actually even want to put on the actual image, because you can add instructions, right? So your file, when you send the file to be, you can, let's say where you do like a Word document, right? So let's just say you have a Word document, you're going to save this as a PDF, and you say, okay, thank you so much for the purchase. To get your editable Canva template, use the link below, but make sure you copy the file to make it your own. This file is sent to anyone who purchases this listing, so be sure to make a copy. Here's how, right? So copy the link below and paste it in the same browser as you've logged into Canva. No account, you can make a free account at canva.com. Once you've pasted the link, the template will show up in your account. Hit the, what button was that? We said hit the home button. Actually, this is the original one, so we'll go back here. Yeah, hit the home button in the top left. You'll see the project in your account, and you just need to copy it. Make any changes necessary, and then you're good to go. Right? Please do not change the original template. Now, if they do, and this is where I never recommend, even though I showed you how to use it with this particular one, I would always make a copy and share the copied version with them, so you have the original. So when somebody goes, man, somebody messed up the file, it has all this weird stuff in it, you can go, oh, hold on, let me get your new link. Right? So those are simple things that you can do to help prepare yourself. The best way is if you offer the service and then you can just create the file and send it to them. But if you don't want to, there's either way is a lot of customer service, right? There's more customer service if you do it manually, less if you give them the option. But then of course you have to guarantee a certain level that arrives in it. So you may want to check it or whatever. And if you're gonna have thousands, it may not be worthwhile. But you don't have to do this with the other ones. You can download your calendar, right? You can save it into Dropbox or some other one. Let's do Google Drive. So we say more, and we're going to put it. Now, Google Drive, at least when they have options, I select the folder, but my file type can only be a handful of these. So it'll be PDF standard, and I'm going to change it to all pages, and then I'm going to say save. Now it's going to put it into the drive, and then what you can do is, instead of providing like a Canva link, you're going to provide a Google Drive link. And unfortunately, people can still comment on that. But if you do it into a general Google or new Google or something like that, then that'll be fine. I can go into Drive, and I can go into my folder, and I can come in here and I can say copy link. And actually what I want to do first is I want to say Rose calendar, and I'm going to say, instead of restricted, I'm going to say anyone with the link. And you can put their viewer, commenter, or editor. They can just be a viewer. Viewers of this file can see comments and suggestions. So if you don't have to have comments on there. And then you can just say copy the link and then say done. And now you can go over to back over to your Word file, and instead of doing like this, you know, thank you so much, your purchase, here's how you get your calendar, go to this link and download. And that's it. So there are other ways too, if you're concerned about people stealing it or whatever. I mean, that's all stuff I wouldn't worry about until you have those problems, because there are plenty of other challenges when it comes to delivery, right? So now we've got a location for it and everything else. Next time, what we're going to do is we're going to go into how to set up the listings and then attach the files. And we'll talk more about options for files at that time. But right now you can go in and you can make all sorts of different files. If you're like, hey, I don't want to do any of this, I just want to make the images and I want to sell them, you can do that. You can literally just go back into MidJourney here and then say clear, and say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to sell a set of 12 of these. You need to go into them and make sure they do not have the watermarks like we've been finding. But when you come in here, you could say, I guess I didn't upscale those other ones. You can go, okay, I want this one downloaded. Go to the next one. I want this one downloaded, or do like I did and just download them all and then find out after the fact. So again, you could do a set of beagles. You could do a set of, you know, different kinds of roses. You can do all different types of flowers. I encourage you to expand beyond flowers and dogs and stuff, but you can literally do anything. And that's where, you know, MidJourney is excellent for this. We went back, you can see it's been making these while, you know, it made these earlier while we submitted them. And now I just need to go back and upscale the ones I want to keep. So you just go in there, spend a lot of time making images, and it's not even a lot of time, just spend some time making images. Once you have 12 images, you have a file, right? You have a file that you can put together and just sell those images. I recommend upscaling them with the upscale at least, and then you can tell people that it's high quality JPEG images. I would change them to a JPEG, and I do that with Adobe. You can even just sell them as a PNG if you want. Hosting images is the biggest problem. And so we'll probably dive deeper into that into the Facebook group if you have problems, right? If you have a solution, you don't need help. If you don't have a solution, ask questions and let's see if we can help each other find a solution. So this one has been a super long video. I hope you see the value in this and how easy it is to, once you set up the templates, you can just go in there and change out the images and get them ready, and we'll get ready to sell them for next week. So for now, you should be making images and making the files, and then we'll be ready to make the listings next week.